Yo, how we doing, guys? I wanted to make a video talking about the boy Venom. I want to make...
Danger.
This is actually more of a guide video. So, kind of like what I think about the character, how he should be played, and, you know, kind of how to go play him in different areas. What should you do here? What is this move? Like, you know, I know that LK recently released a video guide. I have yet to watch it, but I know his opinions on the character. I've talked to him about it briefly in his Switch chat. And, you know, I've talked to a bunch of other people about the character. You know, I'm pretty confident on my opinions on him. I've been playing him a ton, and from someone that, you know, has played at the higher/top levels, I want to kind of give my opinion on what is realistic about the character and what is actually viable with him. I know there's a lot of stuff he has. Again, he has a lot of depth to him, a lot of stuff with, you know, the ball formations and whatnot, so I want to give my side on where I think all that is. And yeah, first of all, I want to start with just talking about a little overview of Venom before I get into some specific areas about the character's kit.
Danger.
First off, he has some factors of different characters built into his kit, but ultimately he is a whole different character, and he is different. From someone that has played Zato a lot, and main Zato for a very, very long time, I see kind of the resemblance when I play the character, not like some resemblance, right? Not this current Zato, but I'm more referring to when Zato was at his worst. I also see like little bits of, I guess, Jacko, kind of, but not really. He's really unique. I can tell that they were really scared to make him too similar to like Jacko and Testament. You know, it's something like, for example, when Elfelt was, you know, before Elfelt came out, people were like, oh, is Elfelt going to come to the game because Happy Chaos is in the game? Or, you know, stuff like that, right? So, the devs, he's obviously a very well thought out character. He is very unique. And I know I've repeated myself, but he is, truly. I think one thing about the character that people need to understand is... So, okay, when I played the character, for example, one of the things... And it's a flaw, for sure. Like I've said, in this game, you need to be able to keep up with the meta. And the meta right now, and I have a video coming on it eventually, but, you know, being able to keep up with the risk reward in this game, the high damage, and be able to make people care for their mistakes is something that a character needs. And Venom, unfortunately, isn't that. So if you play a character that gets good reward off their hits, you know, and kind of go from there and like the whole steamroll thing, Venom is not that. He's not a snowball character. He's not really a steamroll character. He kind of plays his own game. It's just his power level is just lower. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's, you know, what he's trying to do is something like a new playstyle, right? Because it's just... Okay, let me explain. People play the character, and I think the first thing they do is, okay, well, I've got to set up into my mix, and I've got to be able to, you know, do stuff like this, and keep up with the risk-reward of, you know, kind of brawl with other characters, going normal to normal with other characters. And, you know, you want to play that, and it's frustrating because your reward is so little compared to other characters' rewards. Obviously, this is the lowest damage character in the game, and after they've just, you know, the damage has been, I mean, always been, like, high. It's high as hell, and, you know, unfortunately, Venom is in the back of the pack for the whole damage thing. So, you have to realize that this character is meant to be a zoner. I think the devs really want him to be a true zoning archetype, kind of like Testament in a way. But obviously he plays different from Testament, like with their zoning games are different, right? The mind games with what they put on the screen are a lot different. But yeah, one of the things about Venom as well is I think this is probably his best normal. He doesn't have a low profile 2K, unfortunately, but it's probably the longest and best non-low profile 2K in the game. His 2D has like a little low profile on it, so it's pretty good actually. It's I believe 11 frames, pretty good normal. 2K 2D doesn't always work, but it does at most ranges. His 5K, like I said, is probably his best button. It's like 8 active frames, it's 7 frame startup. Since it's so active, you can actually use it to safe jab. One of the things that's really bad about this character, like, he doesn't use meter well, and on top of that, so like positive bonus and whatnot doesn't feel great to use. But I mean, it's positive bonus, it's better than nothing, right? And he has like Dark Angel. But you want to, for safe jabs, because he doesn't have a real safe jump. He can't safe jump 10 and 11 post wall break. So you want to use like his 5K, like you would Kai 5K. This is your like safe jab versus reversal characters. The situation on block isn't as good as if you were doing it with Kai, but it's better than nothing, right? Like it's I guess it's something to stay if you don't want to gamble on their wake up, right? Venom's normals are meant to hit the pool balls. So stuff like this not working, the devs don't care about that. This move is obviously like it's more like combo and block string ending filler. It's not meant to give you crazy reward like that. That's why it whiffs a lot of the time like this. Or, you know, you try to land this, and of certain spacings, actually when you're playing the game, this doesn't actually work, right? So, he's not a brawler, you know, I need to go normal to normal just because he has good normals. I need to play the normal game with the opponent. That's not exactly what he is. Again, he's a zoner. So, situations where you're expecting crazy reward, you're more just trying to set up for the next situation. And a lot of times, it's not going to lead into a mix-up. It's going to just lead into something like this, where you now get the space to set up what you want to enforce and put on the screen. So, like I was saying, all of his normals are meant to hit the balls. These normals and like these special moves are all centered around the ball and their formation, right? It's not, he's not, again, not a brawler character in any type of way. No type of way. Obviously, you have P set, S set, K set, and H set. You have K set that is directly used for your 5P to hit perfectly. Also your 5K, right? You have your 6P, which he has very bad anti-airs. Like I said, this is meant to hit the K ball, right? Very bad anti-airs. This is probably bottom 5 worst 5P anti-airs in the game. This anti-air is, while the hitbox is generous, it doesn't hit far forward, right? And this is an issue. But it is meant to hit it with the K ball to stop jump attempts, right? So this is basically your 6P in a way, right? You have your 2P, which is meant to hit the P set perfectly, along with your 2K, where if you hit it earlier, you can kind of hit at that upwards angle as you just saw, right? Well, I mean, it's always going to hit upwards because it's not like a exact like low profile, but you get what I'm trying to say. And then H set, this is forward, so your long far slash can hit it. Especially if you backdash, you're still able to kind of play around with it. And then you have like all the cool formation things you could do. Like for example, if you do S and H, if you hit S, it will hit H, and then you know it can put the balls on the screen like that, right? If you have S here, you know you can ID back. This is a method. You know, this is something you can do. And then go straight into your charge, something like that, right? If you do K and H, for example, you can hit them at this angle where it will cover high and low, and then if you hit it at a certain timing, you can get it to just send 2 balls straight forward, right? His 5H is really stubby, and it's never used in actual block strings. It's used, again, it's used to hit the ball, right? There's obviously different levels to how fast the ball can be hit. So you hit it with the P normal. It's pretty bad. It doesn't go really that far. It moves really, really slow. Doesn't travel the length of the screen. Stops, and then it disappears after it blinks. You have the S normals, where it won't go full screen, but it'll go pretty far, right? And then it'll go far, it'll blink, and then disappear. And then H normals will send it the full length of the screen. It won't knock down on hit, but it is, again, obviously it is plus on hit. It just doesn't feel very plus on hit, right? It doesn't feel like you can actually get a lot off it, but again, that's just the way that he was made. And then you have, talk about 5H a little more. I mentioned its combo tool. The tumble on this move is crazy. So for your combos with Venom, a lot of times, like for example, you'll do stuff like this. 5H, tumble, you get the fully charged QV, and then you can like break the wall and whatnot. The tumble on it is very, very good. It's also, H normals on counter hit allow him to go into fully charged QV, where with S normals, you're only allowed to get slightly charged. There's 3 levels to QV. Again, it has a set distance every time, but the hitbox expands when you charge it all the way, right? This will whiff, this will hit, right? When you do, yeah, like I said, off S normal, slightly charged, and then you like go into your offense. So the main game plan with Venom off counter hit is you want to set up, not zoning, but set up your offense. Like your, you know, your mix-up. You do this, you know, you have the same side high, right, same side low. You can obviously do stuff like this. Oh. Oh, forgive me. Right? And then you have... Right? So, you can do a whole bunch of things, right? You could also just do stuff like this, like... Oh. Oh, I messed up the timing, but you get the point. Let's see. So yeah, don't expect to be, you know, oh, damn, my reward is so low compared to all these other characters, right? Like, Ram hits you with non-counter hit far slash Daro and takes you through the wall, right? Or far slash like Orange Wall Assault, for example. Right? He's not that kind of character. You play the lane game, and you look for an opening to get your hit, and then set up what formation you want to go into, or what balls, whatever, where you want to put the balls on the screen to try to play the mind game with your opponent of how should they counter around what you're putting out, right? The best things about Venom, and I've said this before, but actually, okay, before I actually go into that, let me talk a bit more about the balls. The issue with them is, and why it may feel very challenging to actually get the hang of it, is because there's a lot of recovery. You know, you don't actually have the time to just do this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? You want to put something out on the screen and then play reactionary to your opponent, right? Again, this hitting them with P normals it feels very useless, like hitting them with K normals as well. They don't go far. The balls don't feel 2+ on hit or block, like I mentioned. So, you know, if you're more likely, if you're hitting the balls, you want to do it with an S or an H normal. You don't really want to do it with a P normal all the time. It's due to it disappearing so fast and not going that far. Especially if you're trying to keep up that zoning game, right? It's not like the balls move, like, it would be different if they moved at this speed and traveled the length of the screen. That would be very good, because then you would have essentially like a Gold Lewis drone situation. Not to the extreme, but it would be better than it is way better than it is currently, right? You know, you also, yeah, like I said, I've already mentioned the recovery, so doing stuff like this isn't great. You can kind of just take the space, and it's not, again, it's not too threatening. He's not really threatening anything. He does so low damage, there's not really a threat to getting hit. He loses to, like I mentioned before, he loses to just random swinging. One random hit, like, for example, if you hit them, right, a lot of times this is your reward, and that's terrible. And he's even worse at catching back, like comboing off your backdash, since you're already moving backwards. So it's very inconsistent, right? There's also this, but I mean, you have to worry about like DPs and whatnot, so a lot of times the mix that you're going for is like, dang, I can't even. He's very spacing dependent, so sometimes the options that you want to do, you actually can't. We're compared to another character's reward. Right? Like, he gets rewarded by, like, Sato, which is, dude, what? Like, he probably gets out-risk reward by Chip, and it's pretty sad. He has probably the worst defense in the game, which is pretty bad, and so you have to be very mindful of how you defend with this character. You do have to get used to I-being and IBFing to give yourself more advantages when defending and more chances to get out. Blocking with this character is not good, which is why he obviously, I mean, he's a zoner, right? You don't want to be near your opponent. But yes, now let's talk about him and his offense. So one thing I'm starting to see more Venom players incorporate in their offense, which I think is very good, and I do use it as well. So JD, so obviously JD is your mix-up tool, right? But or like, you know, off your setups and whatnot. But using it on block is very good as well, like just straight up. So what I mean by this, if I set them to, let's say, right, you go into this. You know, a lot of times this is the only thing you know, you get this, right? You can do stuff like this. Oh. right? And then you get stuff like that. You know, you could also do like, you could do a 2K, right? And then you could also do like throw bait with JD, for example, right? Different stuff to incorporate. I think JD is very good because if it does land, you end up getting a full combo, right? And this is like your normal pickup off JD or off 2K. You want to do the H carcass into the close slash, so you do this, right? And then from there, you set up your offense. I did 5K because they were a bit farther, but if you land the 2K close enough, then you want to go into close slash, this, and then go into your offense. But if it's a little farther, then just pick up with 5K and end it there. And since they're farther, they'll end up in the proper spacing to just go straight into it. You don't have to do QB. It's just off, like, it's like this. Oop. Right? Stuff like that. Again, very good. Same thing on JD, you just do this. Yeah, you get the point. The S and K ball are your main go-to mix-up tools. Like I basically showed, right? You do this, stuff like this, right? Oh. Right, you can do stuff like that. If I set him to block, maybe it'll look a little more clean. Right, there's your mix. So yeah, this again, these are your main go-to mix-up ball options. You'll really never use P to mix up, and then you'll never use H either. Maybe like, nah, you won't, you just won't use it. Next, I think this is probably the most important thing to talk about with Venom. Okay, so we've talked about his normals, we've talked about his neutral in a way, kind of getting, you know, the idea behind getting the ball set up, which again, I will say again, is very hard. He just needs a couple of quality of lives to help him actually get set with the game plan. If you're playing him and you feel like, dang, he feels like, you know, he's very technical and whatnot, but it feels like all the technical stuff that I want to do with the character isn't actually too reliable or realistic to do in game, you're not alone. We're all kind of in that point with, you know, all the formations with the pool balls and whatnot. So just kind of, just keep playing him, don't give up, and get to the point where, you know, doing stuff like this becomes second nature. And maybe then you will open up a path to being comfortable enough to know what and when you should be summoning and what formations and combinations you should be doing. Because right now we're all kind of at that point where we're like, okay, it doesn't seem realistic enough to get it out, but you know, if we keep trying, then maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? With Venom, I kind of was talking about his on-block pressure with the JD, but you also have 6K. So this move vacuums. It's negative on block. It's not plus. It's so you use this in situations where you would do stuff like this. So 5K, 6. So this frame traps right here. Same with this frame traps, and then you could true string it off close slash. So you do this, and then oops, sorry. H carcass, right? So if they mash on this, right, and then true string, same thing off the second hit as well. So you do this. Oop. So yeah, there you go. Right, and then you get your mix-up. So if you do manage to frame trap, you get a mix-up. So then this creates the mind game of, okay, well, I'm not gonna mash, you know, so then you can just start doing stuff like this. Right? Of course, again, the damage isn't huge, so a lot of people kind of just mash on it. And it is, I guess, the timing, it kind of takes time to get used to, because a lot of times you end up just true stringing it on accident, right? Which is fine, because then, you know, you try to go for a frame trap after. This is very plus, so if I set Zato to mash, this is kind of like your block string. See, that's a true string, and then you can catch the mashing there. It's H carcass is like +9 or something like that. So very, very, very good. So next I kind of want to talk about the command grab and Venom, some advice, because I know this is going to be a conversation that you're asking yourself if you try to take the character seriously. It's when should I break the wall? So, like I mentioned before, he's not really a mix-up character. He doesn't do good damage at all off his mix-ups, and they're pretty situational to when they can be done. But when you do get it going in like the loop, you know, you want to consider this character a mix-up character. But with the way his kit is and the damage, you can tell that the devs don't intend for him to be focused around him doing mix-ups. They clearly, from the normals to the special moves to just his character, they clearly want this to be his identity, right? So, yes, the mix-ups, looping the mix-ups, it doesn't feel worth it a lot of times. And so then you have to ask yourself, yeah, when do you break the wall? Especially when you land this command grab, when do you just take the time to break the wall? My answer to that is you should probably always just try to break the wall as soon as possible. Not putting yourself in positive, well, okay, here's the thing. If you loop the mix-ups and they just burst or they block it or they, you know, whatever, because you're then going back, you're most likely not opening up on block with Venom. He uses Wild Assault pretty poorly, not really a lot to threaten off that. You know, he also just, his on-block pressure is probably like, it feels like the worst in the game. Like, it's not realistic. At least give yourself positive, and then from there you can try to go into stuff, have meter for going to stuff like this, right? You know, Dark Angel, which is obviously high block stun, kind of push them to the corner. You know, trying to just loop the mix-ups feels pointless. A lot of people just get hit by Venom anyways by default, just because they don't feel like he's actually worth blocking because of the reward he gets. It's just so little that you might as well just go and give yourself positive. You're going to heal them anyways. Like, this character's damage is so low, you're always going to heal the opponent, right? So if you land the command grab here, you can do something easy like this, right? Simple, just break the wall. It's so, like, and this is on Zato too, who's bottom 5 in HP in the game, right? If you want to, you could do stuff like this to set up a mix-up. So, for example, you could do something like this. Right? You know, if you want to break the wall and you land it here, you can do 6K, send them backwards. Oh. Right, something as simple as that, right? Again, you're not getting a whole lot of damage with this character. He's very, like I said before, low damage, pretty inconsistent. If you land like a close slash, like he is like one of the like only characters, probably the only character in the game that has like inconsistent combo off close slash, which is pretty unfortunate. Oop. Right, like this doesn't work if it's spaced at all. Oop. Yeah, this is pretty unfortunate. Usually you're supposed to get this, right? And you can even do stuff like this, right? But again, it doesn't work if you're spaced. But yeah, overall, Venom is a technical character that no one has mastered just yet. The opinions on him are universally pretty low. Even if you're a hoper out there, you generally think this character is still low. I think the only people I've heard say anything about this character being good are like people that I respectfully have not heard of, or like I know don't play the game or take the game seriously or actually put in the time to even play the character. They just kind of look at his kit and go, oh, yep, he has to be good, right? They refuse for a character to be like this bad. He is like, again, I don't think his strength should stop you from playing the character unless you actually want to like take your, like, make a career or something out of this game, or, you know, you just want to be known and place as high as possible. I don't think he's there yet. Maybe with some quality life buffs in the future he will be, but again, he's one of those characters where it's scary to buff, because this right now is like a whatever bird, like who cares, right? But with a couple tweaks, this character's neutral could be like a whole maze, right? Like a whole testament, like on, like, you know, testament type level zoning, where, oh my gosh, no one likes fighting testament, the character's broken, right? Yes, I said it. But yeah, overall, Venom is a technical charge character that is unfortunately not that great, so it feels like his kit can't be used to its full potential. I think the devs had a vision with the character, and unfortunately, due to his strength, that vision can't really be reached. But I do think they have an idea of where they want this character to be and what they want him to do. And so I think he will be receiving some buffs in the future that will make him the character they have planned for him to be. Because he, at the end, I do think he's a well thought out character. They just missed the mark just by a lot, actually. This character's trash, dude. But he's very cool, and don't let the strength of the character be the deciding factor on whether or not you should play him if you're trying to have fun and like the character's design. Like I said, if you like the character's design, that should be the reason you play them, not because where they end up on a tier list. But yes, technical charge character, and he's pretty discovered. I do think he's pretty discovered. Again, it's just, no matter how much you discover the character, he's just weak. But I guess you can say he's undiscovered in, you know, stuff like this. Because I do think there are some situations, like matchup specific combos that you should use if you have the time to set up a neutral. It kind of reminds me a bit of Zato in a way, like I mentioned. Like Zato, you would do this, and then you would use the clap moves and whatnot to, like, you know, in neutral. So like you would have this, and then you clap into this, right? Obviously Zato's is more threatening because it's a moving projectile, like going the full length of the screen, right? And obviously can like set up like combos and hard knockdowns and go into Oki and whatnot. But, you know, the idea of knowing how much time you have, like, or what the opponent's tendencies, if they like the IED and whatnot, how to be ready for it, you know, kind of make them scared to repeat the same option. And then it's just, you know, okay, I'm gonna say, it's gonna sound so sad. When Zato was at his worst in 3.0 or like 3.5, when he just, again, Zato was a character like Venom where he didn't have great reward, right? You know, this doesn't combo. This didn't combo. It does now, but this didn't combo. Off counter hit, you know, he didn't have standing confirmed. So if you got hit standing, he couldn't go into, you know, into this like now, or he couldn't go into this, which all lead to full combos, wall breaks, or you, like, you know, you could just take the Oki and then sword super and then like snowball. Like his offense was very good. Zato had an area where he was very strong in, and that was his snowball and his offense. So basically, I mean his offense, right? Venom does not have an area where he is amazing at, unfortunately. He just has some tools that are close to connecting the dots with each other, but again, he just needs a little bit of a push from the devs. So, kind of the same character when it came to reward. Zato just had an area that was a win con. Venom feels like he doesn't really have a win con. So, my final words, if you feel like you're stuck with the character, do not beat yourself up. I've gotten asked about it, I've gotten DM'd about it. We're all in the same boat pretty much. This character, fighting someone that you will always beat, or someone you know you're better than, will feel like you're playing an evil Grant if you're playing this character. Like, he is so hard to win with. And even like on things like rating update, his win rate and his elo is so low because he's so bad. He's really hard to win with. This character is just not good. I will put my foot down. He is trash. Like, he is really bad. But he's really cool. So I'll keep playing him for fun. I will never bring this character into like a tournament setting. You know? No. I care about myself. But, you know, now feels like I sound like I'm just trying to demotivate the viewers. But he's cool. Like, go play him. He's cool. But yes, do not beat yourself up for feeling stuck. Like, we are in the same boat. You have to just keep playing him, and maybe then you'll find some niche playstyle that works for you, right? Or maybe you'll see something. Maybe when Pep comes to the game, he'll pick up the character and he'll be like the GOAT. You know, I've talked to him briefly in a Discord, and, you know, he's not really playing the game right now because he has some things going on to finish, like in IRL. But, you know, when he does see things and keep up with the character a bit, you know, even he's like, oh, okay, this doesn't look that great. But, you know, he's played worse, I think. Not in this game, probably like in some other game. So I'm sure he'll find some answers to whatnot. And, you know, this character, he is weak, but I think there's some matchup things to be discovered with him that he can be like stand and fight some other characters, right? So less like his, I guess I'm trying to say, like, the only thing that if you want to make this character truly work, you have to stick with him, because you have to know like for example, like I'll go back to Zato for one more time. With Zato, you set up it was matchup specific where you could use Eddie. Some matchups you couldn't use it, and other matchups like Pose was stronger versus other characters than versus some other characters, right? So it was dependent, right? Different formations, whether you do stuff like this was good, or maybe like this and then this, right? Whether they like to jump a lot, knowing the combinations of what to use and how far you should be pushing Eddie out in neutral, right? Like, for example, if you're able to get the space, being able to do stuff like this, or, it's like, okay, they have very long normals, so let me summon Eddie closer, like outside the range of the normal, right? Same thing with Venom. Like, you gotta know what to summon, know how much time you have, know what areas you need to cover. So he's very player-based, like opponent-based, and like matchup-based in general, right? You have to play on a reaction to what's going on. So take your time, don't beat yourself up, and I'm sure the answers will come to you eventually. I'm starting to see the light. Okay, I'm lying. I'm lying to the viewers. I don't see the light. This character sucks. But I'm gonna keep playing him, and maybe if I find something, I'll post. Dude, again, like I said, if this character comes out as good, I will make an apology video, and I'll even like give away some money or something, bro. I don't know. I'll give away like, I don't know. Maybe I'll give away a free copy of the game. I'll apologize to King Africa. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, keep it easy. God bless.